Hello, Cancer, and welcome to your January 2025 reading. First and foremost, thank you so much for being patient. I've been experiencing my own sort of health challenges, as has Apollo. He's feeling a lot better. Thank you guys for asking and checking in on him. And so one of the things I've been learning is really just to pace myself. And if you're a follower of this channel for a while, that I really care about the quality of each and every reading. So I wait until I feel great and I can channel the information in a way that's going to be up to my own standards too. So that's why for the last 3 or 4 readings that I'm doing this month, it's just taking a little longer. It's so I can take care of myself and I can still give you that great quality. So thank you so much. With that being said, let's talk about what's in store for today. We're going to be looking at all the twists and turns that this new year has to offer, and really kind of leave you in a place where you feel empowered. That's the goal with every reading. So we're going to get into channeled messages next, okay? And by the way, I'm going to go back into the original order from beginning to end of the zodiac, starting with Aries. So you guys should be getting your reading much faster in this month. And again, I'll get caught up by the end of this month. All right. As I was meditating, I did a long meditation today, some for personal healing, and then I tuned into your sign, and I did it right beforehand. And so deep that I was almost asleep. And as I was tuning in, there were 2 different images that came together in the meditation. The first one was a spiral galaxy, kind of like the Milky Way. And I was just watching, first of all, the movement of the galaxy. And then I was looking at the size and the vast sort of distance that it covers. And there's an illusion sometimes when you're in the middle of the galaxy like we are. We're actually in one of the arms, but you know what I'm saying. We're not at the very end. There's an illusion that it moves slowly or that it's you kind of lose track of the overall shape of it. So in reality, we're not just moving in, these orbits around the sun, and everything's kind of spiraling at the same time. So the sun is moving through the Milky Way. The planets are moving around the sun. So this whole solar system is in one of the arms, which is also moving around the center of the galaxy where there's a big black hole. And then all of these galaxies are moving outward towards the expanse of the universe. Some of them even colliding. We may do that with the Andromeda galaxy in the distant future. But all of this to say, things sometimes feel like they're not moving, but they are. Not only are they moving, but with exactly the speed that they need to be. And sometimes you could be surprised when a synchronicity comes into your life. And I feel like January could be one of those surprises where you felt like something wasn't going to happen or isn't happening, and then it shifts. It could be a shift within, like I'm talking about a perspective shift, or it could be something more profound. It could be something where it's right in front of your face. You run into someone, you get a call or an email or something of that nature, and suddenly everything's changed. So be open to see the movement happen, and don't project a sort of like this belief that things aren't moving. They're moving. That was the first thing that I saw loud and clear. The other thing I saw was a scarab beetle, and scarabs, of course, are connected to death and rebirth. If I had to pick, it would be a couple of cards actually in tarot. It would be Judgment, which is the rebirth element of it, and then it would be the death card. Just think of one as a doorway, and then the other one being you on the other side. Death being the doorway, Judgment being what you see after you go through the doorway. So this is a month where you can reinvent yourself if that's something that you're open to do. You can move beyond a block, and there may be things where you surprise yourself by your capacity to grow, to change, and to experience things. And so if you aren't already feeling it, I can feel that this is going to be a deep and profound reading. So without any further delay, let's get started. Please close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you're standing outside on a starry night. You're looking at one of those arms of the Milky Way. Even if you're not in a city where you can see it, imagine that you are somewhere where the skies are clear and you can see all the stars, including that beautiful arm of the Milky Way. And reach out for a moment and touch that band of stars with your mind's eye and feel the connection that you have to the universe. Let's bring that connection into this reading. Call in angels, spirit guides, ascended masters. See yourself as one of the star beings that is in this beautiful Milky Way, and let's begin. Ooh, one of my favorite cards here, the Firefly. Coming through in the wealth position. Let's see. Yeah, we'll use this one more time. All right. I just wanted to look at a couple of the cards here. Let's get started. We're going to begin, of course, with the Catalyst card. This particular card, of course, helps you create necessary movement in your life. And the message here for the Catalyst is to craft your focus. What I found immediately interesting was the number 13. In tarot, it's one of the most significant cards. It's death, change, transformation. And so changing your focus, changing your ideology or your beliefs can completely alter the trajectory of your life for the better, particularly if you're thinking about possibilities. Over the past couple of days, as I've been recording this, we kept getting Knight of Wands reversed. And yesterday I finally realized why it kept coming up, and it was because sometimes we can waste our thought power, and it is power, folks, on things that just don't matter at the end of things, at the end of the day. So what other people think, that's their business. A fear of failure. If you don't try, you never know what's possible. And even if you fail, you may learn and do better because of it. The unknown. Why fear the unknown? Because it's never going to go away. There's always an element of surprise. There's always something that can happen that you're not going to necessarily see. So when we just lean into the fact that it's a big world, there's a lot of possibilities, and many of them are good, we start to attract the fireflies in the mix here, because I saw this beautiful firefly card. So let's focus on being one of those fireflies and finding the other ones out there. Because whenever you see a firefly do that, or for those that grew up on the east coast of the US, they're also called lightning bugs, but fireflies basically are trying to attract partners. So I think that this is a chance for you to connect with people on the same level, synchronicities, possibly partners. But you have to change your focus, your perspective, your ideology. Then other things start to change in your life for the better. All right, quickly glancing at the spread of cards. I really love that even though this is the Eight of Cups, we have this big vessel. And I even like that they called them vessels in this deck, because we can see that there's a chance to receive more than you have before. Success, empowerment, movement, patience. There's a lot going on here, but I think most of it's really manageable and good. Let's begin with the center card, the Eight of Cups. At the center, I love that it's actually called Rebirth, but we have the Eight of Cups. Now, I look at the Eight of Cups as second chances as well. So it doesn't surprise me Rebirth is there, because some of you might be more prepared to meet something because of the changes within. So sometimes second or third time around is a charm because you've changed. Not necessarily because the situation has changed or you're more deserving. It's because there's this inner connection and readiness that it feels like the light switch is turned on. So to me, this is a really auspicious center card. What we see here in the traditional illustration is someone who also is ready and willing to take a step back. So there may be something in your life where in order to fully commit to it, you're going to need to get some perspective, get ready, and really be on board. So any decision that you might be making Don't do it without that consideration and without that clarity. You may be overdue for a vacation or a break. That break is going to invigorate you. In fact, if we use what the card is saying, you may feel this sense of being reborn. So we have second chances, we have invigoration. There also, for many of you, is just a need to separate yourself a little bit to get the perspective that's necessary. I love that we see all of these vessels kind of coming through here, because now on the green man, which is a reimagined version of the emperor, we see him cooking up something amazing here. And so I feel like you could really sink your teeth into something new this month. This is, of course, a card that is connected to leadership, autonomy, being able to be the boss, of course. It's also paternal, so if you wanted to nurture something and kind of like, again, breathe life into it, all of these things are coming forth. Part of the reason you can do it is because maybe you stepped away from something that was tapping your energy. Maybe you got some clarity and some perspective, and now you're also seeing something with this new sense of invigoration. It's a chance to step up to the plate, and it's a call, actually, to action for many of you to step up to the plate and make it happen. All right, let's look at the deep past. This is the karmic energy coming through, and it's a little bit at odds with the card that we just pulled forward. So we have Five of Pentacles in reverse, and the Five of Pentacles is a card where sometimes in the past, we have this feeling that we weren't enough, we weren't supported, we weren't appreciated. And often it has to do with the person or the environment that you were in, and there was someone there that just was lacking the skills. They didn't have what it took to give you what you needed. Now, that doesn't mean that you're less than or you're not worthy of it. It means that at that time, it wasn't aligned. So we're going to leave the past in the past, especially if it was with a teacher, a parent, a sibling, or whatever. This really was, it's yesterday's news, but there may be a little bit of internal recalibration that you have to do to feel like you're more than enough. So if we turn the card upright, I love that they chose the adjective endurance to come through on this, and we see this child gently going in there and moving the embers of the flame so that she can rekindle the fire. So this is a chance for you to rediscover your passion, your capacity, find your confidence, and do some healing. From a health perspective, it could also be a matter of just making sure that you're not rushing the healing process. Sometimes it does have to do with the feet, the legs, and maybe even sometimes it's a cold too. But whatever the healing is, whether emotional, physical, or even just psychological, it takes time. So make sure you keep doing the work and know that this was in the past. I don't see it coming through in the future, and that's a good thing. Okay. Success, my friends. That's what we see coming through. We're starting this reading into the month further than I normally would. And again, I appreciate your patience. It's okay because some of you may now be able to see some validation in this card. So we have the Six of Wands. Here's a reminder of what it normally looks like. A person riding in on a white horse with success and the banner of success above them and a lot of applause and validation. We don't see it in this card. That doesn't mean it's not there. So this particular illustration reminds me of what you do before you eat. You set the table, right? You clean everything off, you put a placemat down, you put out your plate, then you go and bring the stuff from the kitchen and you get it ready, and then people come. So you've set the table, and the success will continue. Like, it will start to roll in, but it may take a little bit longer than you think. But look at there's a nice sort of continuity between these two cards. The inner child had to find the passion. And now it takes a minute for the fireflies to sort of find one another. So I feel like you've set the stage, you've put the feast out, people will come. If you build it, they will come. And that's really what this Six of Wands is reminding you. You may achieve the success or the breakthrough or the recognition later in the month, but you don't want to give up at the beginning just because it's not there. It's nice to have all of this, like the applause, the likes, whatever it is, but you do the quality first, and then that finds you. And that's kind of what the reminder is on here. And sometimes we want the instant gratification, and it's not all about that. Some of you might be pulling back a little bit from the public eye or from scrutiny, and you need that retreat to find your power, to find yourself, to overcome some of the things from the past that we talked about here with the Five of Pentacles. So just validation, if you're going through that. Now we have Moon on the Water, aka the Moon card, coming through. I like that we have a stubborn, bullish figure in the background saying, I can do this. It's kind of interesting because this doesn't have a much more similarity other than having a moon on it to the traditional moon card. So in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, we see like a dog and a wolf and a path between them. There's also a lobster coming forth. The path is the focus, the path to enlightenment. The challenges on the path, something that you might have ignored that is coming through to be seen now. Competition, argument, gossip, any of the sort of things that kind of just get in your headspace a little bit and really take you from what you should be focusing on and what matters most. And now, if we take a look at the not the traditional, but the upgraded card here, we can see that you want to stay headstrong, grounded, because the Taurus symbol is about being grounded, and continue to focus on what you're being shown. Like so the moon can be a reflection or also sort of like shining a light on something. And I think this month it could be inspiration. It could be reflection that, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Now I remember that's the path in front of me. So there's an opportunity to reconnect with that path and hopefully create some traction and some momentum. In the near future here, we have the solar plexus energy coming through on the sun of life. Normally there's a child card. For this one, I'm not going to show the traditional one. Just trust me, there's usually a baby riding in on a horse. But I want to focus on both the solar plexus energy, but also they're putting a little bit of a spotlight on the heart. So the heart is like this magical gateway between our higher consciousness and our center of power. So in order to get to the solar plexus, you have to open up the heart. And so what the universe said into my ear is like, I love you. And it's what you have to say to yourself, like self-acceptance. Say to your inner child that you love who you are. And it's kind of like you're giving yourself this hug. And then let go. Let go of what it is you're holding on to. So a baby card, which this typically is when reversed, is saying it's overdue for birthing or release. And because your center card was rebirth, it's also just letting go of what was in the past and allowing a new version of yourself as the adult to come through. So you're no longer tethered by what was if you allow yourself to kind of explore that. There could be challenges with connections to authority, as we talked about. So this can be usually the green man, aka the emperor, would be paternal, but I tend not to read gender. So we could just say teachers, authority figures, or anyone that likes to be the boss. And so historically speaking, because that came through kind of more towards the center, there just might be someone who you need to pull away from a little bit. And in order to do that, you have to feel that sense of, I am powerful, I am worthy, and I am ready to go on to my own path, because we actually have Six of Swords energy coming forth here. All right, now we're going to take a look at the Five of Wands, which I think is also one of the areas of struggle or opportunity for you this month. So if we look at this version of the Five of Wands, you can see that there is an archer and they're pointing that sort of bow and arrow towards something that's worth their time and energy. I like it. I think it's a great interpretation, but it doesn't tell the full story. So we're going to actually lean more into the Rider-Waite-Smith card here. So this is really what Five of Wands represents. I talked a little bit about the competition in the Moon card. It's coming through here as well. But what happens sometimes is there can be a lack of order, and that causes people to try to get attention. Sometimes people are acting up. So we see this more in children, but sometimes in a workplace where nobody knows how to kind of like conduct themselves because there's no clear direction and order. So that's why this month you're coming through with the leadership energy, the Six of Wands. And some of you may decide to step into the spotlight. Some of you may decide, I'm tired of this. This is a lot of work. We're spinning our wheels and kind of doing duplicative efforts. So maybe I just need to move into a different direction. And that's completely valid. Before making any decision, of course, it's about getting perspective to see what else is out there. So that's why the Eight of Cups came through. So all of this is going to help you create more balance in your life and help you get to a place where you can really make an impact. Let's talk about the environment because it's pretty good. There could be some good news, folks. We have the Page of Cups coming through. The Otter is smart, kind of playful, is, to me, also ready, looking around. They're ready and they're sort of seeking out that opportunity. So there could be a great sort of bit of news in an email, a text, or a letter that comes your way. If you put yourself out there in a social environment, this also represents the receptivity of others because it is in the surroundings, in the environment. So possibly love, good news, something creative, something that gets you excited about the possibilities. We like that. And as we go into the expanded forecast, we'll see how that page might come through. Now let's take a look at Hope, Fears, and Opportunity. It's a very unusual version of temperance. And just to remind you of the traditional temperance, here you go. So normally temperance is about finding balance, and the temperance angel is basically holding two cups and weighing out the situation, making sure that it's even, there's reciprocity, and look behind the temperance angel, there's that path. The same path that, lo and behold, we saw on the moon card. There's a lot of similarities. I would hope so as we go through all the major arcana and minor arcana cards. So anyway, with the temperance card, it's about figuring out where you stand before you take the next step in the road. This card also is showing that balance, it could be work-life balance, it could be balancing in your health or anything else, even looking at your financial balance. Whatever is currently not where it needs to be, this is a time to feel it out. So Six of Pentacles actually has scales, and it's more about like looking at the details, right? And the Justice card has scales. But Temperance is another balance card, and it's balancing out the heart, and that's so important because the heart is the gateway to that solar plexus. We have a little bit of a power struggle going on with this card too. Those two serpents or dragons looking at each other, kind of intertwined. And again, I said that some of you may need to disconnect if you feel like there's that constant tug of war. So this is another affirmation of that. All right, let's move on to the outcome, which is fantastic. So notice how it says transition here. There are many cards of death, rebirth, and change, and this is one of them. What I like about the Six of Swords is it's change that's going to be moving quickly and often is a lot easier to process. So you're already on your way to the change that you might be seeking. We have this also connection to the channel messages. I was talking about the Milky Way. You know, sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it feels like it's moving slowly, but if you were to go out and look at it from, several light years away, you'd be able to see it's actually moving pretty quickly around the center and also outward towards the edge of the universe. It's time to move on. It's time to move up, move on, or move out. Somehow expand or transition. And that is ultimately the encouragement this month, to keep it moving. And to that end, we're going to move into the next portion, and I'll see where the blocks may be and how we can get you moving. So we're going to expand the forecast to include health, wealth, love, and destiny. We're going to start off with health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. And for health, we have secrets. This is interesting. So, that deep past energy of the Five of Pentacles can sometimes be things that families don't talk about. Sometimes it can be, abusive substances like alcoholism. Maybe there was, something else that happened, an affair, or there were issues with money, anything that we just aren't really proud about. But there's lots of things that happen in many families, and you realize that nobody's perfect when you start to talk around a little bit. Secrets will start to kind of like eat away at you from the inside emotionally. And so we want to break free of the secrets. Sometimes we keep secrets to protect other people. It could be about like what it is you want to do for a living, or who you want to love, or where you want to live, because you're afraid that if you say it, someone will judge it or you'll hurt somebody. But the one thing that I'm getting here, and it's a very psychological read of this card, is that the truth, not only I know it sounds trite, but it's true. It frees you. It frees you from feeling stuck. It frees you from not being able to experience all that this world has to offer. And so we have to open up the door and let out the secrets, because then you basically take control of the situation. So learning about, talking about that stuff is important. And when we're looking at health, again, I mentioned addiction. There could be a tendency for certain types of addictive behaviors. You want to know about that. It'll help you avoid the same thing. Maybe someone kept a secret about being sick. It's important to know family history. Again, the older we get, we need to know what's ahead for us and what we can do to hopefully stave that away and not have to deal with it on our own as well. All right, let's look at some other cards here. You can make or break a cycle. 8 of Cups at the center is auspicious for health. It's also, like I said, a reminder that if you haven't taken a break in a minute or two, now is the time for a holiday. You can always come back and finish your work later, oftentimes with a clearer head. Let's not put so much attention into what people think or how much validation you get. You're doing something in your life because it feels right. There could be some issues with digestion. There could also be just a little bit of a power struggle. And again, it's the solar plexus. So it'll either be energetic or physical. But in addition to that, we also see some healing that needs to happen on the heart level. The final thing that I'm picking up on here for just general health and well-being is to take your time. One thing that we didn't talk about with temperance, we looked at the balance piece a lot, but it's basically understanding that in order to make movement, change, some sort of shift in your life, it's something that has to happen slow, steady, and these sorts of things can be sustainable over time. So if you're entering into a new workout routine, a new diet, new anything in your life, one step at a time, gentle on your body, tune in and see how it's feeling, talk to people if you need to. That slow and calculated approach towards overall health is going to help you out, okay? There actually is one more thing here. With the Moon card, emotions could be running high, heightened sensitivity. Again, things from the past could be coming back, so this is important to deal with that as it comes up. This can also have to do with general hydration and the reproductive organs too. So if anything there needs to be attended to, obviously work with the appropriate professional. Okay. And I keep saying one last thing, but there is one more that the guides are showing me, which is it might be time to move. And we'll look at that more as we go into wealth. Maybe it's move on from this, but it could be a physical change of living environment too if you're just feeling like it's not providing what you need or you've outgrown it, because this can be a birth of a child. Let's move on to wealth. In the area of wealth, we have one of my favorite cards, the Firefly, and it says guidance, wonder, and dreams. So one thing that I get from this is be your own counsel and trust your own counsel. So often we look outward for what am I supposed to do? What happens eventually is you become the sort of like parent-teacher guide for yourself. So there is a little bit of maturation, growing up, that's coming forth on this. Wonder. When was the last time your heart kind of like skipped a beat because of excitement over something that you had to do at work or in school or in life? We need that little, skip of a beat, butterflies in your stomach or whatever for a good reason. So find something that creates inspiration. If it isn't at work, then somewhere else. Learn a skill just because. Take a class just because. Do something for growth, because you're going to possibly meet your fellow Firefly in doing this. Dreams. Don't give up. Never stop dreaming. As I get older, I pay more attention to my dreams because they're clairvoyant and they teach me a lot about what I need to see and maybe what you need to see too if I'm tuning into your sign. So dreaming, wondering, always kind of thinking to yourself, what do I want to do next? Because you don't have to stop when you're a kid. What do I want to do when I grow up? We ask children that, but I don't think we ever stop growing up. We never stop that process. So let's just change the question to, what do you want to do next? We're going to now take a look and maybe give you some answers on that. I'm going to shuffle the cards and dig deeper into the different types of employment statuses you might have. All right, so we're going to look at those of you that are currently working. Then we're going to take a look at entrepreneurs. Then we'll move on to those that are seeking work. I know a lot of you that tune into this part want to see that. Then we'll look at students, followed by retirees. For those of you that are currently working for somebody else, we have the Stag card. In this particular deck, they actually swapped out 8 and 11, so basically justice and strength are opposite. So let's take a look at the traditional justice card. It makes a little bit more sense than the Stag. We do have that kind of authoritative figure in both of them, but I think this is going to tell the story more concisely. So for many of you, you are standing up for yourself because justice was reversed. And there could be something that doesn't feel right, that maybe legitimately is opposite from what was agreed upon. And so one of the most important things you can do is to state your case, make sure that you make a case too, get all the information and clearly put it out there. Get stuff in writing. Scrutinize any contracts that you might be asked to sort of sign on or agree to. And also, if something feels like it just isn't right, speak up. At its core, this is just about your ability to say no. And that also aligns with the power card that we got at the center, right? The green man, aka the emperor. And also this reclamation of power card, the sun. So maybe there's someone that's used to pushing you to do something that isn't right or it doesn't feel right, but you don't have to do that anymore. And you're not alone. So what we see here with the firefly, again, is someone that would put the light out, kind of like a lighthouse. There'll be a call and answer. So talk to some other people. Chances are you're not alone, and you can do more in a group than on your own. And this ultimately is a card of attraction. And what we see here is that many of you have done the work in order to have support or people that love what you do or love you. So leverage the support to rectify an imbalance. And it's as simple as that. And there may be a point where it just then moves on and they're like, yeah, you're right. Okay, we'll do this. Or maybe you decide to move on. But ultimately, you have a lot of really powerful cards here as I'm looking at this. So I think that you have the capacity to shift the narrative and shift things in a right direction. Or again, at the end of the day, this is an encouragement for you to move on if you're not getting the support you need. All right, let's move on to those of you that have your own company or are an entrepreneur. So we have 3 of Wands, which represents imminent or immediate or right around the corner sort of manifestation. When it's reversed, it's saying you may not be looking in all directions. What's cool about this is you are the 3rd wand. So we have these 2 wands around the person and they're holding the bow and arrow, and that actually is the 3rd wand. So action and reaction are what's really going to bring things into fruition. The traditional card has someone looking out at ships coming in, but I remind people that if you're looking over here, you're going to miss this. If you're closing your eyes and not looking around to see what's going on, you might miss something on the exterior. So you got to make sure that you pause for a second and do a 360-degree view of everything to make sure that you haven't missed something that's important, okay? All right. The other thing with this is just affirmation that it looks like the first quarter of the year is going to be pretty good. And travel may be something that's necessary that connects us also to the 6 of Swords. So it might be a time to expand your horizons, to reach to new markets, to do some in-person meetings or seminars or face-to-face conversations to bring things to the next level. Let's move on to job seekers. I like this. We have the 8 of Wands. What's great with this 8 of Wands is that it shows that there is community, hearthfire. And so this is about professional organizations or meetups. So if there is, not just like a job fair, this would be bigger than that. It's also sort of like if there's a group of professionals that regularly meet to talk about things, or there's an like an industry discussion that's taking place about changes or whatever, get into that, get involved with that. The other thing is to keep moving, to keep things moving. So remember, the outcome was about transition and movement. So don't get stuck too much on waiting to hear back from one person. Give it some time, focus on someone else. Give it some time, focus on something else. We don't want you to go crazy. We could actually box this in around 6 to 8 different, apps in a week, and that's about 1 a day. And that's it. You don't have to kind of like, I would rather you have quality when you're applying than quantity, but each day you should try something different, and connecting with people in the industry is important. friends, former colleagues, any sort of like hiring professionals, liaisons, etc. Keep it moving, and that's the key to success. 8 days, possibly 8 weeks, 2 months. So anywhere from a week to a couple of months, this is what we see it. It's not necessarily immediate or the same pace for everybody, but remember what I said with the galactic arms, things can happen. And the scarab beetle, the reinvention, which we haven't talked a lot about in this reading, that actually was the center card, rebirth. So it's a chance to you can redesign your website, but you can also imagine yourself in a different part of the industry. You're not stuck doing the same thing. I have probably 4 times at least tried different paths using my skills in much different applications. So you can do it at different parts of your career, in different decades as well. You never stop growing, you never stop trying new things. Okay. By the way, the Six of Swords can also show that you might need to expand to a different city, state, country, or province, or there might be remote work that you're considered for. Let's move on now to students. We have the King of Pentacles coming through, a really great card actually for anybody that's studying something new. It basically represents being able to completely embody that or master whatever that is, that challenge. But we do have a bit of a lone wolf. And guess what? This really reminds me of the card that we were looking at here, the Firefly. They're looking for their partner. So this is a chance for you to find like-minded individuals, possibly doing a little bit more with student life, with internships, with extracurricular activities. That's where the magic happens. That's where the connections, just like we were talking about for those of you that are job seeking, those sort of groups that you form are so important. And students, you'll thank me later, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, you'll still keep in touch with some of those people. I know that a big part of my core friend group is still former coworkers, and I've been doing this 10 years now, so a decade later, I still have core relationships from that. So school and work as we get older are some of the, sort of bedrocks or foundations on which we we find ourselves leaning. So find that connectivity. I feel like that's important. The other thing that I see for some of you could just be heightened emotions during this period, so be kind to yourself. There could be a chance to travel, either for travel abroad, or maybe you're even thinking of transferring to a different school. It looks good as I'm looking at everything here. I also am just acknowledging that everybody under this category that is working on some level or studying just feels like, when is this over? The Five of Wands is sometimes not seeing things clearly, and that's why for everyone it's also really important to get some perspective. Take a break, take a holiday. Finally, as we take a look at retirees, this is interesting. We have the adder, and it's basically taking the high road. So this could have to do with relationships or activities or people around you, but we have the snake pit, and then the one snake that's above that. Not taking the bait, not getting overly involved. It feels like some of you do want a little bit of perspective or distance. It doesn't mean that, you're not going to necessarily come back later and be a part of that group, but what I'm getting for you, it's almost the reverse of the students, is there's been a situation where it's been too much, too intense. So take a step back, take a vacation if you can. Otherwise, focus on inward healing and really working on the solar plexus. This is going to give you the strength, the courage, basically, I would also say like that internal battery that you need in order to explore what else the universe has to offer right now. So it is a time for healing and a little bit of personal work outside of the group. All right. Moving onward to love and relationships. We have a card that is hard sometimes to embody, honesty. And we have the Bigfoot coming through, which is sort of like saying, I'm not afraid to be bold in this moment and say what needs to be said. Because it is a month where I feel like you're either going to go deeper into the relationships that you care about the most, or you're going to move on and find someone that's in better resonance with who you are or who you're becoming. Let's also dig deeper into this particular category. We're going to focus first on existing relationships, and then those who are seeking love, beautiful card for that, and then those that are happily single. All right, let's start off with those of you that are partnered up. So if you're currently in a relationship, Queen of Swords in reverse. She needs to just get to the heart of things. She's going to speak up. So I think there's a time and a place to just be bold, honest, concise, and clear. We don't want to be cruel. That's the only commentary of Queen of Swords. She can come across as cruel, but sometimes she doesn't even know she's saying it. So take a pulse, make sure that people are ready, see how they're feeling, and you can always start a conversation with, how are you? Is this a good time to have a conversation? If not, when can we talk? And then that's just kind of like opening it up, and they're getting prepared, and you can say, well, how about I come back in an hour, or let's go grab a coffee. You can do a lot of different things to diffuse it and make it more palatable in that respect, but you can still say what you need to say. And so it feels like honesty comes through also in this card. I mentioned earlier that existing partnerships could be experiencing something new, a birth of a child. There could also be travel that could be tugging a little bit at the integrity of the relationship, and it's about finding balance that may be lacking. The good news for existing relationships with the Page of Cups in the environment is that the flame is still there. It just requires perhaps a little bit of stoking of the fire and, again, making sure that there's date night, that there's time together. If you're traveling, that there's a time to Zoom or FaceTime or Skype or whatever your chosen method is. Just make sure that you're connecting a little bit, okay? With the honesty thing, I think it goes back to this, the secrets. There could be something from the past with respect to a mistake that you did or your family or something, and you don't want to share it, but you have to. I really feel like in order to build a stronger foundation on the relationship, that it's going to be important to have that integrity, okay? If you're looking for love this month, the pole star is fantastic. First of all, it's showing me that keep going on the path that you're traveling on. We had so many cards this month that showed a path. I mentioned patience with the Temperance card, but we see the path right behind it. And then also with the Moon card, if you can get past some of the distractions or temptations, the path is right there. And then on this one, you may start the month off solo, but lo and behold, if you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're not sort of fixated on where's my partner, before you know it, there's another firefly in your direction or your vicinity that's shining their light. So I feel like it's around the corner. The key thing here is to be yourself. Could be, by the way, an Aquarius because the star is connected to Aquarius. But be authentic, be yourself, get out there, mix and mingle, be bold. When you're in the spotlight, someone's going to notice you. So this is a month where you want to not be a homebody if you're single and looking. The type of energy that we see coming forth could be a water sign. I also mentioned Aquarius, but those are the two that jump out as I'm looking at everything. When I say water sign, we also have like Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces possibly coming through as well with the Moon card, just doubling down on the water. Okay, and I think that's pretty much everything. If you're single and looking, you can find it, but you have to get out there. And there also may be someone that is not in your current circle of friends, so that's why it's important to mix and mingle and see what's out there. All right, finally, single and happy. We have the Knight of Wands in reverse, and I talked about this at the very beginning of this session, so this card is haunting me this week, but basically this is about putting your mind to things that matter, not wasting time and energy on others' opinions, not worrying about things that are out of your control, and trying to find things that inspire, delight, or sort of like get your curiosity engaged. This is where the magic starts to happen. Speaking of magic, let's look at destiny and see what's coming through. So we have the fly, and it was reversed. So it's saying move beyond frustration, the survival instinct of like it has to, like you're constantly fight or flight, right? And then also this impurity. And I think that's why the secret thing came through. It's about being yourself. So we're going to transmute all of that. And so instead of frustration, we're going to move into that feeling of I can do this. Let's make it work, right? And instead of survival, let's go to abundance. Like you're not having to fight for your survival. You're going to welcome and call in abundance. And instead of impurity, be your authentic self. That's why we had the star come through for some of you that are looking for connections. All right, now is your chance to ask one more question. If there's something that I've yet to answer in this general spread, then I've set this portion up in order to help you out. So go ahead and ask the universe whatever's on your mind. I'm going to pull the card, and we'll see here. All right. Slow down is the first thing that I get with this, but it's a yes. Yes, comma, but don't rush. We have the Page of Pentacles, the links coming through. It's reversed. It's saying take a step back and ask yourself, why do I need it? Why do I want this? How quickly does this really need to happen? Slow and steady is the key to success this month. So try to take a break. Meditate like I did before I did this reading. I feel so much better. And get outside, smell the flowers, do something that allows you to enjoy the moment. Because I do feel like there may be too much focus on getting it right here, right now. Okay? But ultimately, it's a yes. Also, Page of Pentacles is saying ask. If there is something that is lacking in your life, speak to the absence of it and state a case, like why it is that you deserve it, right? Because justice came through. So this is a month where you can get what you deserve. Thank you so much. I hope that this resonated. If it did, please do me a favor. Comment below. Let me know what you're working on, what connected the most to you, and then like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, I would love for you to do that. You can also follow me across social media so you never miss out on a future video. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all the major platforms. I'm on Blue Sky. My username there is nicholasashbaugh.com. That is also my website, so you can go there if you need any additional information. Remember, by the way, I don't give private readings, so if anybody tries to offer one or direct messages you, you know that's not me. And that's everything. Thank you so much for being the absolute best part of what I do here on YouTube. Check out all of my weekly, monthly, daily readings, as well as special readings around lunar and celestial events. They're all on the main channel page. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon, and Happy New Year.